Okay, folks, if I could have your attention, get started. Good morning. Happy closure to the spring semester. I'm sure everybody's happy about that, and the wonderful weather that we're having. Hopefully you can hear us in Georgetown and perhaps at the Paradise Center and other people that might be joining us by Zoom. So anyway, welcome to the meeting here. I have a few announcements to make before we get to actual business here. Actually, should establish a quorum, but we have nothing to vote on today, so I think I'm going to skip over establishing a quorum because it just doesn't matter for us. So the first item of business is to approve the minutes of the December 12th faculty meeting. Those have been distributed to you. I'm sure you've read them cover to cover. So is there a motion perhaps to approve the minutes from the December 12th? There you go. Okay, is it seconded? Bob seconds. All right, all in favor of approving those minutes? Those opposed? Okay. All right, and then we need to approve the agenda as well. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for today? You have, if you didn't get one, actually, straight down here at the front of the table, and I'm assuming the folks in Georgetown were sent the agenda previously, so it's the same as what we have here. Motion to approve the agenda. Second. Second. All right, all in favor, then please say aye. Opposed? The agenda is approved. All right, so let me make a few announcements, and then we're going to switch. I usually talk for a bit at the beginning, and I thought I would just put that off. We do have a guest coming, or a number of guests, I guess, right, Kathy? 2 or 3 people coming to talk about the potential for a new graduate college at the University of Delaware. And so Eric has been actually a part of that committee, and so we'll learn a little bit more. And they're coming at 11 o'clock, is that right? All right, so we're going to try to cover all of our business and some of the updates before those folks come. But importantly, I will kill the lights here. Hold on a second. I don't know what I'm doing, but is that better? Did that help? Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
Come on. Go. There it goes.
Oh, okay, great. All the way out. Yeah.
Well, that's the one for teacher. One more.
Okay. All right.
That's set for teacher.
There is no happy medium, is what you're telling me. Okay. All right. That's fine. I'm always better in the dark, right? Okay. All right. So, you know, a lot of churn, I guess, a lot of new faces coming in. Look at these new faces coming in as well. I did want to welcome a couple of 3 people at the top who have faculty positions that have been negotiated and signed and done and all in the books. Erin Sparks will join us in June. Plant and Soil Sciences. She'll be located at DBI. And so they are hopefully getting ready to accept her over there. She's a molecular biologist. She'll tell you more when she gets there. So please go by Erin's and welcome her as she comes aboard. Wei Shan is going to be an assistant professor of statistics in applied economics and statistics. And so he brings some big data skills and some nice, skills that come into what they're trying to build in that department, which is really a big data analytics group. It's coming along very nicely. Diana Sissofo, she had worked, I think, as a temporary instructor and then applied for the non-tenure track position available in that department and was awarded that position. So we're happy to have all of them. Any of them here today? Is Diana here? Perhaps. The others are coming very, very soon. And then I won't bother to go ahead and read all of the different folks that have come in as staff, but there's been quite a sort of an overturn of folks that have retired or moved on to other positions. And I think out of all of that list that you see before you, Leanne Muhammad, is Leanne here? She's probably very, very busy right now. She is going to manage the Wilmington branch of the U Dairy Creamery. And you all know that that opens next week, right? There's going to be a block party downtown Wilmington for that opening. So that is a new position. And I believe one of the 2 sponsor program coordinators is a new position. that has been added, newly since we did the strategic plan last year. And Adam Thomas, I know Adam's here. Where's Adam? I just wanted to recognize him. There he is. Adam back there has stepped into the role of interim communications director. Catherine Hamrick has gone on to other pursuits. And so we welcome Adam back to that, right? This is the second go around for that. So see Adam if you have any sort of communications issues for the college. And you're going to spend some time in the Dean's Suite, right? And sometimes out at the farmhouse. So he has two places where he will be. So welcome to all of those folks there. And retirements. All right. So I think there's a party tonight, in fact, for Judy Huff Goldstein. Am I right about that, Bowman? Where are you? Yes. Okay, good. I'm coming. So Judy, after, I don't know, I think it's more than 35 years. 36. Thank you. I think she was one of the first female faculty members. Is that right? Okay, it's like Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon thing going on here. All right, so Judy, anyway, we're sorry to see her go. Is Judy here today? Is Judy? Okay, all right, she is probably enjoying her time. She's enjoying her beautiful day of retirement early. Larry, are you here, perhaps? Carl, John, Arb. Okay, so none of them are here. We could expect that. All right, but as you can see, they're still on the payroll. Okay, they're supposed to be here, actually. I want to make a note of that. But anyway, probably, a couple of 100 years worth of wisdom collectively in that group, going back to the 60s, actually in 70s for many of them. And we're very proud to have had them as part of the CANR family for all that time. So those are the official dates of retirement. And of course, there's a lot of other people going on the terminal sabbatical year. We'll recognize them next year when they finally get to their retirement date. And then some other staff that have retired or will be retiring here. So Joyce Whitty, who is still coming back and doing a little bit of work for us, worked for 4-H for many years. Joanne Whalen, Mark Baker, one of our farm folks that works in the dairy, I believe. He has retired, as did Richard Morris. He has announced his retirement anyway. He'll be going in July. And I think we've successfully replaced both of those positions. I want to say that we have. We did searches for those, and so those will be coming in. And then Dot Abbott also retiring from Extension. So we wish them all well. And did want to congratulate some award winners. So we'll have award winners at Convocation, which is when? When is CANR Convocation? 26th. The 26th at 4 p.m. All right, same. You said that. I'm impressed. That was good. Yeah, that was pretty good. All right, in cap and gown, right? And she'll be there in cap and gown. All right. Actually, so it may be one of our last times, sadly, in the Bob Carpenter Center, right? Since they're changing commencement activities at the university. So we're really going to enjoy the time we have there. And Charles, is Charles here? Charles Bartlett. Where are you, Charles? Are you not here? Must be teaching. Okay. All right, and I'm not going to mention that it's reading day. Okay, sorry about that. All right, well, Charles, we'll give you a big shout out anyway. Charles won a UD-wide award, teaching award. And so he will be immortalized, I guess, in granite brick in Mentor Circle for that achievement. And so we're very, very proud of what he's been able to do for the entomology and the other students that he's been able to teach. Josh Duke, I saw you in here. Where are you? Josh Duke right there. All right. Wow. Good. So a fantastic addition. You are now the second recipient of the newly revitalized CANR Teaching and Devising Award. So congratulations. You will be immortalized over on the patio on the south side of the building. And so we'll be doing that immortalization, I guess, pretty soon. As soon as we get the bricks, I don't know what's happening. It takes like 6 months to make bricks with names on them around here. I don't know why. But you will have one, I guarantee it. And as will Michelle Walfred. Michelle, hello. Hope you're watching down in Georgetown. What a fantastic person. If you haven't met with Michelle Walfred, next time you go to Carvel, she is just a bundle of energy and incredibly good with social media and web and all this sorts of things. Doing a great job for us. And then Adrian Shearer and Grace Savoy Burke. Eric will tell you a little bit more about other award winners at the graduate level, but our Benton Award, named for Bill Benton, who used to be an associate dean in this college, that's the highest award that we have there. So we're very proud of them for winning those awards this year. Okay. And what? Okay, let me hang in there. Hang in there. I'm just going to do one more. I swear. I'm not going to blab too much here. And hot off the press, because the Board of Trustees just acted last night, I believe. I was at the dentist and I missed it, but anyway. So we now have several folks that have moved on to the next highest level. And so I want to congratulate Benham. Where are you, Benham? Benham over there, man. Tenure. All right. Fantastic. Jing Xu, is she here? Jing, are you here? Okay. Greg Shriver, are you here? Greg, full professor. All right. How about Jeff Bueller? There he is. All right. So do you really have 3 petabytes of data? I mean, that impressed everybody really incredibly. Access to 3 petabytes of data, which is like a Googleplex of data. I don't know what it is, actually. But anyway, but you did impress folks with that. Where's Sue? Sue Barton. All right, right in the front row, professor. Deb Jayzee with tenure. Where's Deb? Oh, way in the back. All right. And Dr. Vargas. Where's Dr. Vargas? In the field. Oh, okay. All right. Well, clap really loud for him, and then he'll hear you there. But that was it. You know, we had everybody went through, no issues. That was one of the, I think it was the largest group actually of people that went through promotion and tenure since I've been here. This is my 5th cycle of that. So very proud of all of you and what you've been able to do here. All right. So let me turn it over to the students who are here to actually recognize some of our faculty, right? Okay, we're going to turn the lights up so we can see their smiling faces.
So our outstanding professor is I'm sorry. Our outstanding advisor from the Animal and Food Science Department is Dr. Neal, but I don't see her here. Okay, so we'll say that. Okay. Our outstanding professor award for the Applied Economics and Statistics Department is Dr. Hastings. Thank you. Our outstanding advisor for the Applied Economics and Statistics Department is, sorry if I messed this up, Dr. Tonesmeyer? Oh, he's not here? Okay. Our outstanding professor for the Entomology and Wildlife Ecology Department is Dr. McCarthy. Our outstanding advisor for the Entomology and Wildlife Ecology Department is Dr. Bowman. Here we go. Our outstanding professor for the Plant and Soil Science Department is Dr. Frett. And our outstanding advisor for the Plant and Soil Science Department is Dr. Brook. And we'll deliver these. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hope everybody in TV land was able to hear some of that. So that was wonderful. All right, so next item of business here, and we'll probably just leave this lights up then, Tom, for a second here. Any old business? I guess we need to get that out of the way first. Any old business from previous meetings that needs to be brought up at this time? Going once, going twice. Okay, so I think we can move on to new business then. Jung Yoon, would you come up and tell the group a little bit about your role in faculty mentoring with the Advanced IT group? Come on up. She is the liaison for the college now for that group. Yeah, talk into this because there are people watching on Zoom.
All right.
That helps. And if you want to stand right here, they can see you.
They don't need to see me. Yeah. Hello. Well, I think this is my first time ever speaking in front of the whole college faculty. So I will. This is an honor for me to be appointed by Dean Rigger to act as the faculty fellow for that is appointed that is working together with advanced team. And I would like to give you a short history. And before I get to there, actually we have the advanced director, Dr. Shana Deacon here, in case I get questions that I cannot answer yet. I will be trained to be the fellow, and so next year I will probably speak a little bit more in detail. Anyway, so I would like to give you some brief history about the advanced faculty fellows. And before that, the first thing that I would like to introduce you to is that UD Advanced. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so the some of you probably have been even involved and know very well about the advanced, but the UD Advanced has some history. The first, the UD Advanced was formed through the NSF paid grant during the 2008 and 2013. And this grant was awarded to the College of Engineering and College of Arts and Sciences, the Natural Sciences, in partnership with the University of Wisconsin and University of Michigan advanced team. And they have developed workshops that is geared by faculty and for faculty idea on best practices in recruitment and faculty mentoring. It is about faculty or about faculty and by faculty. Okay, and the current UD Advanced IT grant, which started from 2014 for 5 years. And this has developed based on the previous work. And the goal of this grant is to institutionalize the workshops that they have developed. And among the goals, many goals, the one was to address implicit bias and importance of best practices and faculty recruitment. And the fellows are to be trained to deliver the workshops for faculty recruitment and work together with the UD Advanced team, the leadership and dean's office and provost office and college faculty to come up with the faculty mentoring policies or procedures as well. And this slide shows some achievement that the faculty fellows had done and successfully delivered to 6 out of 7 colleges. Now, thanks to really Dean Rigger's interest and support, our college now have has the fellow. I really appreciate Dean's support. And so in fall of 2016, the faculty fellows delivered 12 workshops, and 198 faculty participated. And the workshop, the participant evaluations was overwhelmingly positive, and they reported that the content was very new to them, and presenters provided helpful information and perspectives, and the step-by-step guide will be helpful in search processes. And I am actually, one of the second-hand witness to this practice. Actually, we had recent faculty recruitment successfully. Rigor introduced the hire of Erin Sparks, and actually our the chair of the committee, the search committee, went through some of this training or information, and we really, could see the benefit of this type of recruitment workshop and procedures, and I think we are very proud that we could select the best candidate among 68 candidates. Yeah. Okay, so I'm also looking forward to the success of this recruitment workshops for improving or increasing the faculty excellence in our institute. Okay, and this effort is also very highly supported by Provost Office, and what I understand is the Provost is really encouraging to have the search committee members to even attend the workshops as near mandatory, but I think we will see more changes coming or improvements coming. So lastly, I would like to just go through the responsibilities that faculty fellows are to carry out. And the faculty fellows need to update, adapt, and lead faculty recruitment workshops, which is tailored to each college. That's where I become a liaison between Dean's office, faculty of the college, and the advanced team. Okay, and the faculty fellow also is expected to be the person for the consultation with the search committees throughout the process, and also to work with the college to develop and update and enhance the formal mentoring procedures and policies. And I also would like to really emphasize that even very short encounter and discussion with Dean Rigor, I learned that he's really interested in and has the expertise in this aspect. So I'm looking forward to learn a lot from him as well. Okay, and the faculty fellows are to serve as equity advisors and serve as diversity liaison again among the advanced leadership, the faculty, and the deans and college faculty. Okay, so that's all I could say from down. And if we, yeah.
Question or two? And we have expertise in the audience as well on the advanced program.
Sure. Like I have before, we also have Institute, that's female faculty, and so we offer mini grants for female faculty, particularly to develop leadership opportunities. So these are smaller grants. If you go to our website, you can find information on those. And yeah, happy to answer any questions or be a resource for folks here.
Any other questions for Jung Yoon? All right. Well, thanks, Jung Yoon, for taking on that role. And I guess we'll be hearing more from you. And you may not know, but we had been doing, I guess for 2 years, we've been doing a new faculty, we call it new faculty mentoring. It's really more of an orientation that I had been doing. I did it in, I guess, spring of 15 and 16. We didn't do it this year because Ivan, sitting in the back, is our only hire from last year. And so we're going to put you, Ivan, in the cohort with the 6 people that you've already seen up on the screen here. And so we'll have 7 people in that program next year. And Jung Yoon, I hope that you'll help me with that, that series there. Get people oriented to UD and the college and so forth. Okay. All right, so next up we have Jules to talk about the Affinity Program. If you don't know what an Affinity Program is it is a something that's put out by the Office of Admissions to make a unique presentation for UD to the prospective students, right? You want to come on up and stand in front of the camera and talk in the microphone? Right.
So I was going to start by asking if anybody knows what an affinity program is. Does anybody know what an affinity program is? Kinda. So when I was in a meeting with a variety of people, including Kim Mikowski, talking about design at Delaware as a collaboration between design fields here at Delaware, she said, "I think this is so great. You should start an affinity program." I didn't know, I was excited. I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but I emailed Doug Zander and Chris Lucier from admissions and asked about the Infinity Program possibility for CANR. So that's how much I knew about it. So apparently the admissions strategy to promote particular disciplines and to bring a cohort of students into Delaware, for example, the World Scholars is one of the affinity programs. Cybersecurity has an affinity program. And the Horn Program of Entrepreneurship has the Delaware Innovation Fellows. So those are the 3 existing programs where prospective students apply and are accepted into a cohort of students. They might have a shared living situation where like it's a educational, like in the dorm where everybody lives together. And then they have 4 years of programming that they do together. And the idea would be that they would graduate with a certificate in something. Well, the design thing was really interesting to both Kim and myself, and we talked to the dean about supporting a design affinity program through this college. And the admissions group had said that they would prefer if it was not so specific to design, and they asked us to come up with another bit of interest for this affinity program. So I came up with the idea of doing a design and making program. So the way I worded it is, this is for students who, it's a selective enrichment program for students who design, tinker, create, modify, hack, build, invent, and fix. So the maker movements are really big on campuses. I'm the co-chair of the Makerspace Committee. We're putting together an interdisciplinary makerspace in Pearson Gym, in the old Pearson Gym. So that should be opened. It's supposed to be slated to be open fall 2018. So this program will be a part of that idea that we're initiating design at Delaware. We are part of a maker community, and we've talked to Kathleen Pusecker at CTAL, and she's really excited about the opportunity to assess this particular affinity program for success for minority students and students who might be coming in on Pell Grants. So we're really excited about the idea that we can support an affinity program here at the college related to design and making. And the dean had some really creative ideas around making related to even like with our food opportunities. So maybe we can put together a tinker lab for making, or a maker space for food in conjunction with the creamery and the things that are going on with there, or Nicole's work with fermentation. So it's a 4-year program, and the colleges said that they would support it. We're still working out the details of how that will actually work, but we're really excited to launch this program, and it will be that we have our first cohort of students coming in fall of 2018. Are there any questions about the Affinity program?
All right. Okay, thanks, Jules. All right. I just read a report recently about the state of enrollment admissions in the United States. Just came out last month. It's kind of sobering. The Northeast, where was that echo coming from? The Northeast and the North Central regions of the United States will see declining levels of high school graduates for the next decade. the South will see increasing levels and the West will. And so most of our recruits come from the Northeast. We will have an increasingly competitive pool. Okay, so if it's difficult now to get a student to come here that's also accepted at Penn State or Maryland or Rutgers or one of these places, it will become more difficult over the next decade. I'd be happy to share that report with you there. So I think this is something that may be able to set us apart a bit, and it actually came out of Chris Lucier's office, and I think they're having some success with the first group. Speaking of success, Dr. Griffiths, would you come up and talk a little bit about Blue Pen Success, which launches this fall? Is that right? Okay.
Where we're at. So I'll let Juan pull it up for me. And hopefully it's kept me log in so I don't have to two-factor, and there we go. All right. They might be able to see it a little bit better.
Can you ask the whoever's listening it's coming from the other end?
So somebody on the other end, can you turn your mic down a little bit?
I can mute them over.
Or you're going to mute them? That's not very nice. Well, anyway, you may have heard about the Blue Hen Success Collaborative. It's a new software package the university has purchased to complement UDSIS and perhaps not only make advising a little bit easier, but to help identify students, which they define as sort of being in the murky middle. We know who those that are excelling are, and we know who those that are at the bottom end that are in trouble and need help, but sometimes it's the ones in the middle that are lost. And so the system complements UDSIS. It doesn't get rid of UDSIS, and hopefully it will make advising easier. Over the course of the past year, they've had a leadership team that's comprised of both faculty and professional advisors. So you may not know that colleges like Arts and Sciences have an advisement center where I think it's first 2 years, students go to professional advisors, not faculty advisors. So a lot of the input in the design has come from those folks, and then there's a handful of faculty that meet weekly to work with the people that are tweaking the system to match UD's needs and wants. And I think we've been very fortunate in that the person under Chris Lucier that's sort of managing the project for him is both very knowledgeable of academics at UD, but is also a bit of an IT person too. So she's been really, really helpful. But when you log in, it looks like this. Actually, it doesn't really look like this because it's only pulling up a couple of my advisees. I don't know. Let me see. Oh, it's summer. So when you log in, one of the key things is that it gives you all your advisees, and it has a really nice search function, and it's much more efficient search function than the function in UDSIS, where if you put, you know, Jennifer Brown, you get every Jennifer Brown that ever existed. This one's going to find your Jennifer Brown very quickly, and so I think that's one of the things that I like best. But I did get permission from one of my advisees to log in to her. You can see I have 51 of them, and I did this spring to be a good committee member. Is Teresa here? Teresa, I shredded every folder you've ever given me on an advisee and forced me to log in and use the system and create an electronic file for every single one. So some of the things that show that you're seeing on this screen is the student's GPA and their something called recommended advisor intervention. And I can describe that to you very briefly, but as training goes on, they'll describe it more. But that takes into effect not just their GPA, but it takes into effect a lot of sociodemographic variables, perhaps high school, whether they're Pell eligible, whether they're a first-gen student. All of that goes into sort of whether they're the kind of student that you might need to keep an eye on in addition to academic things. But if we jump in and look at one advisee, once you get in, it's going to give you sort of a really nice snapshot of that particular advisee. You can see courses that she's got received D's or F's and none, repeated courses none, withdrawn courses none. Missed success markers. Success markers are something that I set originally. I met with every undergraduate program person in every department. And there are courses that seem to, based on existing data, have an impact on the graduation rate within a major. And completion of those courses within a fixed number of credit hours, usually 15 to 30. So did they not complete that course, or did they not complete that course with a grade that data says is indicative of graduating within that major? So you see Natalie's cumulative GPA, her total credits earned, she's a senior, she's graduating, recommended advisor intervention low. You can see on the, I can actually message a student right from here. I can click on this and it'll ask me, do I want to text her or email her? And I can go right through the system. I can add a note on advising. So this is where I added all my suggestions for registration for fall. Add a reminder to the student. I can issue a report on advising. I can schedule an appointment for some of you that you are already using UDSIS to schedule in your advisees. This also has a scheduling system. So you'll be able to go onto your calendar and mark, this is the times I'm open, notify the students, and they can go in and grab those appointments. So no emailing back and forth to schedule advisee appointments. You can issue an alert. So you might issue an alert with financial aid. Say this student needs to go to financial aid. You can issue an alert and financial aid will pick up that alert and respond. You can issue an alert for, I think more importantly, for students that need intervention in more critical ways with more critical offices on campus. This does link to UDSIS and their degree audit, so you don't have to, once you're into UDSIS, you don't have to log back in again. You can go right to that student's degree audit. It gives you a little more information about the student. It has categories that the university has selected. So here in categories, she's an athlete, she's in women's soccer, she's a STEM major. It would also have first gen, Pell eligible, veterans. Can you think of more categories?
Yeah, those are the major.
But there are a number of major categories, and then you see it lists her advisor. So it's listing me, and it's listing Tim Morrissey as her advisor in athletics. So a lot of nice information about the student. And then back up at the top, I can look at her success progress, her history, her current class info.
So Lisa, go on the top. See where it says staff alerts 8. So you must have sent 8 alerts. You don't click it or anything. Just go plug your alerts.
I probably didn't. They're probably coming out of athletics.
So what that is, so when you send an alert, like I just sent an alert to Disability Support Services yesterday for a student, and I got an email back yesterday already saying, we've already talked to the student's taken care of, you can now not worry about that student anymore. So the alert, my name is Katie and I, we have been using the alerts this semester already, and it really is a good, it's an easy way to refer students out. Without having to look up anything, you know, they're automatically getting an email saying why, to put a little note in there why you're sending them to that individual unit. And it seems like they're going to be adding more and more offices on campus, not just doing financial services or the Dean of Students or Disability Support Services. So it is helpful, but if you get an alert, then you get an alert saying the alert's been taken care of, and that's what looks like Dr. Griffiths has sent 8 that are kind of out there right now.
We went back and forth on, Natalia laughed, you know, like 2 minutes after she got into med school, she was dropping her chemistry minor. And athletics won't let her do it without a conversation. So this could be, and there's actually something called conversations where you can go on record with your conversation. So, so I'm not going to talk, well, so the plan for this is that there are faculty members in each department, sort of what we would define as super users that already had a training session or 2. And the plan is to begin to train more, to have it sort of roll out to everybody this fall. So, so I'm going to work with Kim and Katie. They're both trained as super users, and there are, again, folks in every department to try to set up more and more trainings once it goes live for you to access. But it's also pretty intuitive, and it's really easy to get in and play with it. And then the other thing is the minute you get stuck with something, Naomi, who is the person that I said we were so fortunate to get on this project, is really quick with answers and responses and fixes and things like that. So we've spent a year tweaking, fixing, trying to get all the bugs out, testing, and they're pretty sure it's ready to go live this fall. And we may have the opportunity to offer even some trainings if people wanted to dive in over the summer. I'm not going to go into all of the things along the right in the blue box, but these are some pretty cool things too. For department chairs, there's institutional reports. For example, there's a really nice institutional report on students transferring in movement among majors. So you can say for, Jake, you said you're a department that gets kids. So you can actually say, where did they come from? Everybody that transferred into my department, what department did they come from? Or where am I losing them to? So you can run some interesting reports like that. You can identify where your high school feeders are, where are your top schools feeding in from high school. So there's a whole bunch of nice institutional reports that you can run based on individual courses. What are your important courses? What are roadblock courses? Movement of students, graduation rates based on courses. So a lot of really nice data available to anybody that's in the system that wants to look at the data once you're logged in. But my point today was to just sort of let you see it, introduce it to you as a new tool that will become available for advising. I used it, Kim and Katie say they're in it and using it all the time. I don't know about the other trained faculty, but I got through 51 advisees this spring and it was pretty easy, and created an electronic record of what I said to them, which is sometimes important. And then should they change advisors, that record moves with them and it's available. So I won't take up any more time. I just wanted to let you have a look at it. Any quick questions?
Okay. Okay, well, thanks, Lisa. All right, so we have several committee reports today, and I think we're actually not a committee, but we're gonna start with the AAUP, Calvin Keeler. Long year, wasn't it, Calvin, for the group? So he's gonna tell us a little bit more. Give us the good stuff. Give us the behind the scenes, come on.
So the good stuff is we have a contract. This for the first time, this is a 5-year contract, but actually started last June. So we're actually almost done the first year of the contract. And so as you would hope and expect, the salary increases and everything are retroactive to last July 1st. So if you looked at your pay stub this week, that should have reflected the increase for 2016, 2017, which is essentially about a 1% structural increase and about a 1% merit increase. And then the last paycheck of this month should reflect the back pay for 2016, 2017, and the $1,000 signing bonus that is also reflected. So it was just a long and challenging process this year. We had 23 bargaining sessions, and for the first time in our history, we've noticed a significant involvement by the Board of Trustees in negotiations this year. It's the first time we've ever been told by the president and the upper administration that they would have to check with the Board of Trustees before they get back to us. Because the Board of Trustees showed such a concern, membership in the union increased by about 130 this year. And that is really important because we couldn't have negotiated to maintain retirement benefits, retain health benefits, and get the raises we did without that increase in membership of about 100. Because we lose about 25 to 30 members a year because of retirements. So it's important to keep that membership up, and that membership increase is really important. We have, I think, about 52% of the bargaining unit, which is the continuing track and tenure track faculties, are members of the AAUP. It had dipped in the high 40s before this contract year. So so we need your continued support and new members. And one of the good things about a 5-year contract is that actually lets the AUP spend some time in recruitment and increasing the membership in the next year or two, rather than worrying about the next stage in negotiations. Just a couple of highlights. You'll We've heard a lot of word about the terminal leave and things like that, those type of retirement benefits. So, but the retirement benefits are the current leave and is intact until June 30th of 2020. So nothing changes for 3 years. The other thing you'll notice is there'll be a change in the 403B. Currently, if you put in 4%, university matches with 11%. Starting next July, that'll go to, you have to put in 5% in order for the university to match with 11%. And there are some other small changes as well. I don't want to take up much time, but if you have any questions, yes.
Where is
The contract, currently, it is not on the AUP website.
not on the provost website?
That is correct. Because, I mean, I don't even think that the administration has completed signing it yet. So, and we just picked the cover for the contract, pink. So, so the contract, so once that's all signed, I would expect in a week or so that the whole contract will be available. I think part of the contract, some draft of the contract might be available on the AUP website from when we were discussing it earlier.
The marked up version.
The marked up version, right. There was a marked up version on the website. But as of last week, I was still getting emails about small changes in wording in certain aspects of it. And they were still working until last week on essentially like minimums for instructors and maximums for salaries and things like that, which don't get worked out until after the contract is ratified. So it's weird because we're already in the contract year, right?
I know, we've got promotions.
Yep.
And I'll have to write letters soon based on the
Yep.
promotions, and we
Yep.
want to have the values,
Yep.
and we don't have them yet.
Yep. Yeah. We just saw those first numbers last week. So, and it's tough turning stuff around. There's been no, I mean, you got raises in your paycheck this week, but there's been no letters for what they are, correct? So, yeah, that will come. I just don't know
Yeah, I was just
when.
going to say, get close to the microphone, that the business officer's not here right now, but she had a meeting, I want to say yesterday or the day before, with Tom LaPenta,
Mhm.
and they are trying to work out all the moving pieces. To answer your question, Tom, about how do we then award those
Right.
bonuses, those raises, those things that you get when you go through promotion and,
Right.
and make it
Right.
retroactive to the previous
Right.
year.
Our interest was to get salary increases out as soon as possible and not have to wait until the last T and dot was crossed and wait until June 15th or June 30th or July to get retroactive for a year. The other thing I should mention is that every year, every contract period, there's a salary equity survey. And that I think is nearly complete. I don't know, I think there was one draft, but then there's some errors. It's been redone. Now, the administration, its wisdom, has never allowed the AUP to know how many or who in the faculty are eligible for salary adjustments, or if any even get them. That's the individual faculty's responsibility. So every year, every time we have this, I urge the faculty to say, well, you should go to your chair and say, hey, was my name on the salary equity survey, salary equity list? And if so, am I going to get a salary equity increase, or if not, why not? So that's the individual faculty's responsibility to do that. Any other questions? Yes, Sue.
I have a quick question about the retirement leave. You said it's intact until 2020, and am I correct in believing that you then can declare retirement and retire 3 years later?
That is correct. So you have until June 30th of 2020 to sign to go to Human Resources and sign retirement, and then that could go into effect as late as 3 years later. Yes. Oh, you don't? No. Oh, okay. Well, but it's got to go through the chair to the dean, I think.
But just to clarify, they can't come to me and say, I don't know,
No. If there is a case of that, if somebody is requesting a salary equity increase, I keep that list. It's password protected, and I share it with you if you want.
Right.
Okay, so everybody should know that that's available.
Right.
It has the salaries of everybody in the college in it, and that's why we don't want to share it.
Will you tell me there's someone from my faculty on the list, or I have to ask you first?
I will share it with you, all the chairs, and again, there were errors in it. They're redoing it, so once they
Right.
get the good one, I'll share it with the 4 of you, and then you'll know what's going on in your department.
Okay. Other questions? Yes.
So chairs should have done the merit raise letter, right?
For
For the
2016, 2017?
yes. How did, if not, how did your pay get increased?
Yes, that presumably has been done.
Okay, all right.
That presumably has been done. But I also think there's probably, I know there are differences, and some colleges are having a more challenging time with this than other colleges.
Not all departments have written letters, but all the chairs listed merit to HR.
Right,
And that's reflected.
right. The numbers are all calculated. Right, right. The numbers are all calculated from the chairs and went up through the deans. Right.
There will be letters from the chairs at some point.
There should be essentially, I think, 2 letters, one for 2016 and one for this coming year.
Shouldn't be up to us to figure out retroactively.
That's correct.
Calculate what we got.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Calvin, one more question. And maybe you don't know this, but on the 31st paycheck, will these items be line items, or is it just going to be a big number?
I have no idea. Just as long as it doesn't bounce, that's good for me.
Distinct possibility.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob?
Finally, that with the other increments, if there's a salary adjustment, say of $1,000 or whatever, when does that in upcoming years, does that come at the beginning, or do you know how that works?
The structural increase and the merit increases should happen with your first pay period. In the past, like the signing bonus, that doesn't necessarily have to come July 1st. That has come somewhere in the first 3 or 4 months.
One time, not in your base pay.
That's great. One time, not on your basis. $1,000 in 2016, 2017, and $1,500 in 2017, 2018. It does not get put into your base pay because the university doesn't want you to get raises based on that $2,500 for the rest of your life. Yes.
So I don't know, we've never, well, I've been here since '96, we've never seen a one-time payment that isn't in your base. What is that for?
It's a way that we were able to get increased pay and a bonus for faculty to say, okay, a 1%, so a 1% merit and a 1% structural, we could say, gee, 2% for this year, 2016, 2017 isn't good enough, right? And so the university said, okay, we'll put another $1,000 in, right? Which is maybe another 0.75%. So say, okay, it's a 2.75% increase for that year. Well, it's 2% plus $1,000. That's true. But they don't want to then next year have 2% increase on that $1,000. There's also another benefit to the university, right? The other benefit to the university is that usually they base salary increases for professionals and staff on the faculty raises, which is about 2%, right? And they do not want to give bonuses to professionals and staff, so they don't have to give those to other people at the university. So that saves them money as well. So personally, I'd rather have the $1,000, even if it's not in my base pay, than not to get the $1,000 at all. So. Right?
All right.
I'm around if you have any questions.
Will all become clear soon.
I hope.
Right? Okay. All right. Thanks, Calvin. Hey, we're going to have Jules Brook come on back up. We're going to go through our standing committee reports. Jules chaired the College Promotion and Tenure Committee. And she actually has a lot to say. We already showed the people that went through promotion, but has a lot to say about the process. And thank you and everybody that was on that committee for paying attention to the needed revisions that we need to make.
Thank you, Mark. So I was the chair of the Promotion and Tenure Committee. I just want to start by thanking the entire committee. It was a great committee this year. We had 7 dossiers to review, and so we had a lot of work to do. It was Nicole D'Onofrio, Lisa Griffins, Tanya Gresley, Chris Williams, and Steve Hastings, who was on the committee, and it was a really good committee to work with. We got a lot of work done. At the conclusion of our work, at the request of the dean, we reconvened to review the college P&T document, which was modified last in 2006. We've edited the document and condensed it. We believe we've added a lot of clarity and consistency with the UD faculty handbook. And also to be more aware of the departmental P&T documents themselves. So specifically, we worked to reduce the redundancies within the document. There was just a lot of restating the same thing in different places. And we found that to be confusing. And we linked a lot of the sections directly to documents that are available to the candidates. We thought that added a lot more consistency. So we didn't have to worry about updating dates. We referred them to the dates in the faculty handbook, and I think that that's helpful. And we also added reference links to the location on the provost pages where the candidates can find the CANR documents and the departmental documents. We reviewed a few very specific things and made some decisions about the way the committee is organized. Specifically, we reviewed the member selection procedures, and the recommendation from our committee is that we, instead of having 6 representatives on that college committee, that we have 1 representative from each department as regular members. So prior to this, we had 6 regular members, and nobody could remember from a historical point of view why we had 6. So we were thinking maybe there was at some point that it was a 1 for each department, but that doesn't even make sense because we've never had 6 departments. So we've had 5 departments. We just couldn't remember why. So we thought for the sake of just ease, we would have 1 member from each department serving as a regular member, and we'll continue to have 1 member then from each department who will serve as an alternate. So the total composition will be 4 regular members and 4 alternates. We do recommend that there are 3 full professors on that committee of 4, and that the chair of the committee is a full professor. So that's a change because there was no recommendation. It just said in the document that the committee will select the chair. It didn't have any indication of rank, and we just believe that it's really important to have that person who's chairing the committee be a full professor. We recommend simplifying the voting procedure. Kathy has been really helpful this year in helping us figure out the voting procedure, which was quite complicated, and it's always been complicated. So we simplified it, and what we would like to do is just do 1 ballot, 1 vote, and have a majority of people vote, like the majority of people who are selecting the candidates. A simple majority of votes selects the committee members. So that would just simplify the balloting procedure. We also have a new procedure for evaluating how CT faculty are evaluated, and we use the APAC guideline for that. They've had a recently approved statement in theirs, and we followed that APAC guideline so that a CT faculty, if they're being considered for promotion, we would have a CT member join the committee to help with that evaluation from outside of that person's department. So in addition to modifying the document, which we will send out for review, and we'll have to have a vote, obviously, to make sure that those recommendations are, I think we'll have to have a ballot process of some sort, and I'll let Mark tell you more about that. But in addition to that, the committee produced a document of suggested guidelines to improve formatting and consistency of the CANR dossiers. When evaluating 7, we found that everyone's in the departments were quite different. So we've suggested simplifying, putting more information in tables, and making it a little easier for the reviewers to review. And that way there's more consistency of all the dossiers that come out of this college that go up campus. So we hope that we can work with the departmental P&T chairs to take a look at those suggested guidelines and modify them as needed to make sure that we just have those recommendations as a consistent guideline for the candidates. That's what I have, and you might have some questions, and Mark might be able to understand.
Bylaws, and then you can answer questions. How about that?
That sounds great.
Okay, so here's the bylaws for the college here. So the way I'm reading this, and I'll quote a couple of passages here, is that we should be able to do this very soon. It says here, any changes in that document, the college P&T document, must be approved by a 2/3 majority of cast votes as long as a quorum of the full-time faculty members of the college, including non-tenure track at academic rank, has submitted votes. Petitions for such changes, this is the important part, must be placed on the announced agenda, sitting on the table, and discussed at a faculty meeting, which is right now. And this has to precede the mail balloting by not less than 2 weeks. So what I think the bylaws are saying, and Kathy and I were going over this morning, is that as soon as 2 weeks from now, we could actually have a vote on the changes that the committee recommends to the college P&T document. That may be way too soon. I don't think that this should or could affect the people that are in the queue for promotion this year, because they've already declared, right, that they were going to go through P&T, and probably not fair to change the document midstream. So this would, the earliest would affect people next year. And so we have time. I mean, it's not a big deal. But the way I'm reading the bylaws, we need a 2/3 majority of a quorum, and a quorum is half of faculty, right, Kathy, for this college. So we need 2/3 of at least half the people that vote. And we could do it as soon as 2 weeks, but I'm open to suggestions as to when you think this should happen. We haven't even distributed the document to you yet, so it may take a while. So Steve.
Point of order, I would argue that you really can't have a discussion at this meeting when people haven't seen the document. So it seems to me that you would want to distribute it and then maybe meet a meeting or do those all. How can people ask questions when they haven't seen the document? As far as I know, Eddie's the only person who's seen the document.
Right. Well, okay. If you want to do it that way, I think the next meeting is going to be December. So we could hold a special one. Yes, sir.
And that would actually be okay, because I would assume all the PD document in all senses of
Yeah.
and the provost, their deadline is March.
Yeah.
So for school to start in September. So we could
Right.
discuss that.
So for those of you listening in, some points of clarification is the document, even if it were approved here, has other layers of approval that would have to be done by March of next year. So it's possible that we could do it in December, vote on it, and then have it done by then.
Kevin, my understanding was that it would advance and potentially be able to be voted on this fall and approved in the fall, but you think it's March? Sorry? That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me.
The deadline is March 1st. That's the latest that you go to the provost.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I need to do my homework too, and I need to talk with the provost's office about all of this. But I'll do that, and then you will distribute the document,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
There's no point in delaying that, and then you can have that, and then we'll clarify later the earliest time that we could have a vote for that. But anyway, any other questions for Jules? There was a lot of work there. I really appreciate them taking a look at that. All right. Thanks, Jules. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. So next on the agenda, Mark, where are you? Mark Parcells, the Space Committee, very active.
What about
this.
Go back to the Senate.
I'm
doing both.
So, yeah, I was thinking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So.
Was that me? I have it here.
So, but here, so he wants to do this.
Yeah, I'm doing both so I can do.
Worked out, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I was going to suggest put Jules first, and that way it doesn't have to come back up. That should work. There we go. And it only has one file on it, and that's that. All right. Okay, advance. Okay. Well, I'll do the Space Utilization Committee first because that's kind of short and sweet because we only had one kind of change this this semester. But just to remind you that I'm rotating off. So I've been on this thing for about 6 years, so I am good to go. So this will be the last time I do this in behalf of the Space Committee. I think Greg is moving up to chair. That's how it was explained to me last year. Yes, as co-chair, that he was going to go up. we have a so moved. Oh, what's going on? All right. So just as a reminder for our, you keep going ahead, man. And one more back. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So our committee, as of this past semester, has been myself, Greg Shriver, Angelia Seyfirth, PK, Susan Gary, with representatives from our unit of Scott, Victor, Jenny, and Eric Womack. So we will need some additional representation on this committee. So I'm sure one or more of you will be getting the nod. So it's a standing committee, and it's the idea, I've shown this before on what its raison d'etre is, but essentially to have faculty come to their chairs and come to this committee for suggested changes in space utilization and acquisition of new space or a needing of space or sharing of space. And so the one thing that we did one change that we made was in accommodating Angelia Seyfirth had some increased number of graduate students, so there was an amicable arrangement for making more space out in the farmhouse. And this was all handled electronically, so relatively painless. So that's Space Committee. So now on to Faculty Senate, or if there's any questions on the Space Committee. All right. So in terms of the Faculty Senate, it's been a busy spring. So just as faculty senators, to let you know, there were 109 changes to undergraduate and graduate programs, majors, minors, name changes, 27 resolutions passed. There were some controversial ones. One was the introduction of an undergraduate major in health sciences on applied biotechnology and molecular biology, because many of us do biotechnology, many of us do molecular biology. There was kind of a big kind of fight over names, and that happens fairly frequently depending upon, how broad a term is. But this was approved, and one aspect of that is really strong, it's right across the street, and it has a lot of technical courses that you may want either your senior undergrads or your graduate students to take. Things on protein purification, flow cytometry, things that are very technically oriented that can be helpful to our graduate students. So I saw this as actually a plus. It's going to be hard to make. They have a 5-year window to get this to be a permanent program. It's going to be an expensive program, so we may only have a short window to have our students trained, but this was approved. There was also an adoption of a requirement, or the leasing or loosening up of the requirement of a 2.0 GPA for transfer into non-restricted majors. What that means is if you have a student that has a concentration or is within a major that wants to go, say, from, in our department, pre-vet and animal biosciences to just an animal science concentration, they needed to have a 2.0 to do that. And frequently they were doing that because they didn't have a 2.0. So it was kind of a catch-22. So we had to kind of string them along for a semester or two until they got their GPAs up enough to do that. And that has happened a lot across campus. Jose, the Dean of Students, was adamant that this was an important initiative. Every department has the capacity to restrict their department and say you need at least a 2.35 or a 2.0 or 2.2 to do that. So you can restrict, so you're not going to be getting students with 0.1 GPAs coming into your department. You have the capacity to do that, but for unrestricted majors, there wasn't that requirement. That requirement was removed. And there was a resolution that was put up for moving University of Delaware to 100% sustainable energy by 2020, because there wasn't a lot of consideration of what that meant, as well as what the budget implications were in terms of taking a lot of university funds away from educational initiatives. Changes to the faculty handbook. There were some changes in the evaluation periods for non-tenure track faculty. It's kind of a nuanced thing. And there was a proposed change to the faculty handbook regarding the timing of the provost decision on promotion and tenure versus if a faculty member could go up again, because essentially the provost could render a decision and the appeal process would go until like April 15th, but a candidate would have to declare March 15th if they were going up. So there's instances where that needs to be worked out. There were some problems with coinciding this with college and departmental PTs, so it's been tabled. It will likely be back in the fall. President Asanis and the provost had major educational initiatives that would affect us in terms of increasing our undergraduate enrollment by 20%, increasing the number of PhD students, overall increase in graduate education, and the establishment of a graduate college that Ann Artis will be talking to us about, increase at diversity of all UD levels in terms of undergraduate enrollment, graduate students, and faculty and staff. And then there were provost commissions looking at moving spring break to coincide with St. Patrick's Day based on its impact on our curriculum across campus. That was defeated. Promotion and Tenure Commission is still out. This is on the provost changing of the document to requiring excellence in scholarship and teaching. So it kind of took a lot of power away from departmental PNTs in terms of being able to select candidates based on the needs of within the department. So that commission is still meeting. We should be getting that report maybe this summer or in the fall. There's a commission to address the university's response to North Carolina State Bill 2. This is the bathroom bill. Essentially, an expenditure of university funds sending faculty or staff or students to North Carolina. What is our position in terms of supporting financially a state that has changed this, has made policies that are discriminatory? North Carolina is the first state to do this, but there are pending bills in Texas and in several other states. So there's a commission to come up with a general university policy on that and recommendations on that. Another initiative starting actually in July 1st, we're going to have a new way of submitting curriculum changes. It's called Curriculog. So it's an online program. So initiators of changes in curriculum. What's nice about it is you can actually see the approval process. So at the departmental, college curriculum level, at the dean level, at the every level, you can see where the document is, so things don't get stalled. We've had instances where curriculum changes were put up in the fall and then got stuck on somebody's desk, and then suddenly last week in April, people are trying to get things through. With this software, this was developed in conjunction with Karen Hessel-Spry, who actually pushes things through and contacts people. So you can see where things are. It's a much more visible system, and this will be rolled out July 1, and there'll be trainings in this. Just a statement on our representation. So our president-elect is Chris Williams. So he's going to be the president-elect this coming year, will be Faculty Senate president the next year, be past president the following year. So we'll have 3 years of Chris in a major leadership role. I have 1 more year being vice president, and then we have our college senators Jeff and Calvin have 1 more year of service, and Eric Benson was elected for a 2-year term. Because of the total decrease in faculty in our college, we've lost a senator, so we're down to 3. But the reality is, because of our participation in leadership roles, we have 5. So we've actually 1 more than we would actually normally be allotted. But that's something as we fill in our ranks more, we can come up to have at least 1 representative per department. One additional item has come up in the implementation of UD Academe, and that is that it was initially described to the faculty as being important for the assessment of programs and units, but not for the individuals. But upon its implementation, it's been used for evaluation of individuals. And the problem is the faculty member that is being considered doesn't control any access to that. So you have release of documents to committees prior to a faculty member or without a faculty member's ability to restrict that in any way. And what's come up is that UD Academe is fairly inaccurate. It tends to move authors around in the order when it imports citations, which to P&T committees is very troubling, right? Because whether you're first author or whether you're the last author versus the 3rd author is an important thing. And it tends to just jumble authors for no rhyme or reason, not even alphabetical. We can't figure out why it's doing what it's doing. But committees are going to be able to look at this stuff and form opinions based on inaccurate information. So this has been brought to the attention of the Vice Provost for Faculty Relations, and they're working together to get a policy on this so that the faculty member has the release on that information. I mean, typically when you go up for tenure, you prepare a dossier, and that's what you've chosen to be evaluated on, whereas this program just kind of imports a bunch of things, and some of which are wildly inaccurate, with multiple entries for a single grant or some grants not being entered. So there are still some problems with this, and so there's going to be a policy coming out on that. So I think that is the end. All right, any questions?
So I guess for people who are going up for promotion, where we have to use the system, is the policy going to be put into place quickly?
You have the option of uploading your statements on scholarship, teaching, and service as PDFs. So,
And you're entitled to PDFs.
And your CV as well, yes. So you always have the option of that, and they have no idea how they're going to capture that data. Yeah, so there are some inherent issues with this that John Sawyer and Matt Conservic are working on. Oh.
So one more thing about this system is that from a standpoint of confidentiality, the people who have access to it from the committee standpoint, when you click on one of the documents, whether it's a letter that somebody's written, an outside reviewer or an internal review, you have to download it onto your hard drive every single time. So
and student evaluations.
And student evaluations are all being downloaded.
It's a can of worms. So they are like, you know, they kind of rolled this out without a lot of consideration in these kind of confidentiality issues. And there's a fairness issue. If there's wildly inaccurate stuff about you, you know, or about the publications you produce, that yeah. So there's going to be some reworking of this.
Or beyond that, I mean, it's always been thought that we control our dossier completely, that we decide what it looks like even to some degree. And this is the exact opposite.
Yeah, so the option here is to upload things as PDFs that kind of circumvent what is there.
You can upload as a PDF, but you can also dump as much as you want as that PDF. In the wrong place.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people are confused by just dump their whole data in one spot. And the thing. So yeah, it's good and it's bad that you can do the PDF.
Yeah, I'm at least you control what you can upload, whereas the filling in of like contracts and grants and importation of, you have to be very careful when you import publications because it doesn't maintain author order, which is crazy.
I just personally, I feel much younger now. Yeah, I got my
Yes.
How many additional faculty would we have added to the college?
It's about like 10 or 12. Yeah. And there's 50 total senators. So it's not like there's a number that goes up and down. It's like it's redistributed, and they do look every year. Yeah. So as we refill our ranks, we can get back up to 4. Or if other colleges lose a lot more people. All right. Okay.
Thanks, Mark. All right. Great. Well, okay, so we have just a few minutes before 11 when our guests will speak. And so, Christy, are you here? Christy, would you like to give a brief update on staff? Christy is the staff representative for the college to the larger body, right?
Thank you.
There's the camera.
Hi. There's 14 districts at the university, and we're District 5. I don't know that that matters anywhere else except for the advisory council, but just so you know, I'm the representative for District 5. So Dr. Keeler already mentioned the 5% for 403B. So right now, to get the 11% match, you put in 4%, but next year you'll have to put in 5% to get the 11% match, which is still an awesome deal. So I hope everybody in this room is doing that. There will be a slight delay in the implementation of the new 403B plan. It was supposed to start July 1, but now it's going to start September. And I have a little bit to say about it that I don't quite fully understand. So I'm really happy to see that Tom LaPenta just emailed us at 10:21 to explain it, not Christie style. So we will not be putting anything into Fidelity anymore. TIAA will be the single service provider for our 403B. So you can still have your investments in Fidelity, but it will no longer get the university match. So it's suggested that you meet with either Fidelity people or TIAA people so that you can figure that out. I know some of you already have done that. And then the next change, which will be in 2021, is the retirement age. So I asked Tom LaPenta to write it down for me because I didn't understand all the 20 plus 5 plus 20 plus 30 plus all that. So I'm just going to read directly what he said. You must be 55 years or older and have a combined age and benefit years of service that equals 80 to be eligible for retirement benefits. In addition, a minimum of 15 years of benefit service is required for retirement benefits. I believe it used to be 5, and so people were coming and retiring after only 5 years and getting full benefits from the university, which was a huge cost to the university. Age qualification is not required for employees that have 30 benefit years of service. So that change will be happening in July of 2021. If you have any questions, you can email me and I will forward you Tom LaPenta's words. But also we do have an advisory council meeting this afternoon, which Jerry Hendricks is filling in for me for because I have another meeting. So if you have any constituent concerns that you would like me to pass on to Jerry Hendricks, I would be happy to do so. And we have meetings every other month. So you can always let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Do you have any questions or concerns right now?
Is change in up to 5% 5% done on a web form, or where is that done?
It's on a web form, yes.
And what's the word for that form? What's it called?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll find it. It's
I
not
don't
that on
know,
the website.
but I have seen it. I know I made the change there,
It has to
so
be done by July 1, I'm assuming.
for next year, yes. Okay.
All right, thanks, Christy. Okay, originally on the agenda, I was scheduled to give you an update, and which I hope to do if there's time remaining. But Lynette is here, and I don't see your colleagues, but aha, they're hiding in the hallway. So what we're going to do is go straight to Lynette and Ann Artis and others to tell us about the graduate college, the planning for that. And Eric, you were on that committee, right? You were on that committee as well. So Eric is our resident source of information about that process. And so fresh to the building here, we have Ann Artis. You want to come on up, Ann? She is the Director of Graduate Programs here. We broadcast to people in Georgetown, so if you would come on over here. And you are on camera, and this microphone doesn't work in here, but it works for them.
Beginning of the year when this grad working group was charged, but it certainly slowed us down in terms of we were originally tasked with drafting a white paper and a business plan. We're sort of not ready to do the business plan part until we have clearer parameters in terms of changes that are way beyond the working group's work. So one thing that you will notice having one thing you'll have noticed in terms of the slides from the town hall, we originally were sort of tasked with imagining that if this change of infrastructure were to be implemented by July 1, 2018, then the working group would have ready to go for faculty senate and board of trustees approval in the fall of 17, both a proposal and a business plan. Currently, because of changes in things that are still in flux. The latest information from Mary Remler is that we should expect to be ready to do presentations of some kind in the fall to both of those bodies based on what we will know later once whatever the working group that's being constituted around the budget model change has launched its work. So that would be fall of 17, but we would not be prepared to present anything, a full proposal to Faculty Senate, a budget plan to Faculty Senate and Board of Trustees until spring of 18, assuming right now that we're still all imagining that implementation would be the beginning of fiscal year 19. So questions, Steve?
Yeah. Who was the white paper distributed to? Did you go to all faculty?
The white paper was distributed through a Udaily story, so the link to the white paper was made available to the campus community. We sent MailChimp messages out to the graduate student population, the 4,000-ish graduate students. To program directors, we have MailChimp distribution system to that constituency too. And then it was shared with the deans as well for distribution, but I don't have access to an all faculty list. So we didn't distribute.
Discuss a white paper that you haven't seen. I mean, you know, if you would not do it. To me, it would make sense that somebody who has a UD all send this out to all faculty.
So it was communicated through Faculty Senate leadership. Were people not hearing about this through Faculty Senate representatives either? How many people saw the Udaily story and received the earlier communications? Okay. How many people have heard from graduate students about the white paper? Because various kinds of listenings have been staged with graduate student groups as well. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Well, I got an email 2 days ago from Eric.
Eric, did you send it to all the CANR faculty?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was. Yeah. I apologize. I would have sent it. Would have sent it months ago. I thought everybody had seen it through the Udaily, and the interactive site, as Ann mentioned, is still up for public comment. So that went up in probably March.
Early March.
Early March.
Early
yeah.
March, yeah.
There-
And
and
we,
there's somewhere about 80 something.
right, we've received a lot of comments, and again, some of it's anonymous and some of it's by name, but comments from faculty, students, and staff. It's been a wide range of comments. Yeah. Janine, and then Steve again.
I had a question about, I noticed in the white paper that some graduate programs would be managed directly by the graduate college.
Do we need to share?
If you could repeat the question.
Okay. Okay.
Whereas others would be managed in the colleges. And I wondered if you can speak to how that will work.
Do you want to field that first?
I want to make sure that, so the question is for Georgetown is, there's an indication that some programs would be managed at the college, at the graduate college level, or what that becomes, and some would maintain locally.
Right, and I was mainly concerned about uniformity in recruiting and scholarships and resources to support students. And I think, although I see, well,
Yeah, so there's an amazing diversity of graduate programs. I think we looked and there's almost 200 at UD, and some are enormous, like in Learner. Learner accounts for probably around about a quarter, no, maybe
Over 600.
over 600. And so there's obviously concerns in some groups that, like, we need to maintain our local control over this program, right? The feeling among the working group is leave that out there, right? However, the graduate college can provide the infrastructure that large programs already afford for themselves. So for instance, the MBA program, they market, they call multiple times to applicants. As we found out, this is an incredibly competitive market for MBAs. So they've got a big amount of infrastructure built around that. But there's, I think that probably the more common story among graduate programs at UD is that they're smaller and they don't have that capability at marketing, at market research. That was another one that really came up multiple times. Like, you're envisioning a new program, but a single faculty member or even a group of faculty, hasn't had the experience and bandwidth, right, to go out and do the comparison. What other programs are out there? What are the requirements? All those sorts of things. We manage somehow. I mean, I know Shree's probably did a lot of that sort of thing and envisioning water science and policy. I know Kathy Wu probably did with bioinformatics and systems biology. So that's where the document stood. And as far as if I'm representing this right among our discussions, was to leave that open and to not be, it has to be this or that. However, the improved infrastructure at the university level could improve consistency among programs.
so the graduate program would be advertising for example, since we're not doing it now, and we'd like to do that, would we have a resource that we could tap into there to be able to take advantage of the infrastructure of graduate college?
So the question is, would PLSC's graduate program have capacity to leverage assistance with things that they don't have now, like marketing and marketing research? And
So, I'll take a stab at this and then pass the mic around. We didn't originally imagine that we would want to bring in consultants through the Council of Graduate Schools as part of this process. But that's one of the kinds of issues that ultimately, early on in this process, we decided we really need to hear from people who've been in the business of managing large-scale graduate programs for a long time to understand how they do that. And in fact, the conversation with them this morning, Emory runs its PhD programs through its graduate school, but the master's, many of them, and it has some master's programs that it's managing through the Laney School, but many programs stay wherever they were originally. That school, the dean of that school, partners with the academic college deans on academic program review. So we're trying to learn from other people. UNC, we'd hoped to have the Cornell dean in, and she wasn't able to come because of a family emergency. Cornell is probably the most, Cornell manages their graduate programs. They are very field-based, and faculty are affiliated with programs, but there's no machinery of departments in the way that they deliver their graduate level education. So they're kind of in one extreme end of a spectrum. A lot of our conversations in the working group had to do with recognizing gaps in current services and the market research capacity, the PR capacity, the advertising. Currently, the graduate office isn't staffed and outfitted to do a lot of that kind of work either. PCS has some marketing communications support for non-credit graduate level, as well as the rest of CEND's work. But we've been in this business of developing graduate programs, developing interdisciplinary programs without the full support of market research. So a lot of the grad working groups conversations had to do with thinking, gosh, if the president is envisioning a future in which the latest version of it is up to 7,000 graduate students, another 1,000 doctoral students, another 2,000 master's level students. Right now we're hovering around 4,000, even Steven, slightly more than half master's level, right? But if we're expected to intentionally and strategically grow enrollments at the graduate level over the next 10 years, then we need these kinds of supports that we don't currently have to think about who our competitors are, where are the fields where there are jobs locally, nationally, internationally, what are our faculty strengths across colleges, and what are the strategic opportunities for cross-college collaboration. Again, the language of the Emory Dean is in my head right now. Their conversations are about field-defining faculty who attract graduate students who are the next generation of change agents in their fields. And to be, as a campus, kind of deliberately imagining at the university level, where are the university's opportunities to be distinctive, to play to our research strengths across departments, across colleges, in ways that take the university to that next level of excellence in graduate level education. That's the kind of conversation and the planning that the president wants all of us to be doing.
So I think a really great idea, and the support that we need locally for marketing and recruitment from the faculty standpoint, that would be really great help. But to increase research program, thinking of my own research program or departmental, we would need financial support for the students that would be increased in number.
Right.
And I think that is really, really critical because, especially under this funding climate where everybody comes for very little money, how do we increase enrollment of graduate students where individual faculty has to be responsible for every single dollar that is, part to have that as a student?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, so,
and
yeah.
Eric articulated that issue in this college.
Repeat the question, Eric.
Yeah, so Jung Yoon's question is, okay, so we want to grow enrollment by 3,000, 1,000 PhD students, 2,000 master students. How do we do that? We currently, especially in this college, graduate students the stipends are all funded on research grants for the most part. I mean, there are TAs, but in a department like PLSC, there are very few, mainly because there's not a big load of undergraduate teaching, right? So what do we do? And get creative, I think, is probably the answer that I have now, which is not the greatest, right? But, do we, Do we rethink how involvement of graduate students in teaching, right? There's a biggie, right? Do we rethink in the case of things that are specific to this college, do we rethink capacity funds? These are the Hatch and Hatch multi-state research capacity funds. Do we rethink how we might retarget those towards graduate education? Just throwing that out there, not saying anything, right? Also, we can't forget about philanthropy and building development. So one of the things that having a bigger presence of a graduate college at UD could do is make it easier for President Asanas, Domenico, and deans to promote this as a target for development, right? I mean, we know about, you know, the named graduate schools like the Rackham School at Michigan, right? You know, those endowed named schools come with things, right? And like graduate support. I know I'm not giving you like this most solid answer. Another one has been more tuition paying master's programs, right? So we've had a fantastic success story in this college with the master's in statistics. Been very successful. Now it's gone, there's an online component of this that Tom and the department have developed. So, you know, where do we find those opportunities that would fill niches that could be for paying graduate students? Also, we need to, you know, it's become aware to me that UD is very much a 9-to-5 school, right? We don't do a lot of outside. I reflect back on like Georgia State University in Atlanta, right? That place runs almost 24/7, right? I mean, they've got classes on, you know, outside of working hours over weekends that can accommodate folks who full-time working, but they want to get a professional degree of some sort, right? We don't do a lot of that here. So it's a multifaceted answer that will unfold over years for sure. Yeah. And I think about Randy as a.
All right, just one other quick point. So an increase of 3,000 graduate students, there's also an increase in undergraduate students intended as well, right? Tuition paying undergraduate students, but faculty, right? I mean, you've heard President Asanas talk about 250, maybe it's scaled back to 200, I'm not sure, but maybe new faculty who can then bring new grad students.
Just to add on that, one of the things we've thought about is to think about graduate and professional education. That professional programs, as Eric describes, can also be revenue generating programs. You have some of those. We joint venture with a couple of units here in the college already to do those types of programs. But the notion is to think of it as learning across the continuum, and there are opportunities for post-baccalaureate or postgraduate education that may not lead to a degree, but would lead to enhanced credentialing or mandatory continuing ed requirements. So the notion is to think of it in a more broadened approach.
I think Randy, you.
Okay, well, yeah, I've heard this as well. You want to grow the PhDs, which are a very concentrated group of students that get longer term continuity in research programs, as well as 1 year or 2 year professional master's programs. The issue is you got the same faculty doing both, right? And so it's kind of like how many of these additional courses can you pick up and additional programs can you pick up while trying to build your research program with PhD students. It's kind of like, you know, you've got to find it, you've got a limited resource. The upside in the graduate college is it's going to break down a lot of the ensiling that has happened over the course of the last 7 years with the budget model, where colleges wanted to keep resources centrally localized themselves, and MOUs had to be written to draft multidisciplinary programs. The graduate college can break down a lot of those barriers, and you can have high impact, sexy, multidisciplinary programs that are a flagship for the university, and hopefully they'll be able to bring in the resources and maybe centers type grants that can help us with, you know, graduate tuition and the graduate stipends that we have to pay.
I just second that. Essentially, I think like the interdisciplinary programs like what ours is, the water science and policy program, something like that, which is university-wide across multiple colleges and departments, can be housed in under the graduate college. I think that would be a great location for it in terms of its support and its width across the multiple colleges.
And Randy comes from Cornell, which has this very different structure. So if you have any insights on that.
We just heard in our report from our space team about how one of our academics had a new other graduate students onto a farmhouse that's now a mixed-use facility for all kinds of different things. So we don't have space. The capacity of infrastructure, and we're talking about stipend, but research costs money. And but the granting opportunities are not exactly for access. So there's just a lot of components to thinking in a growth model that I wonder how much the committee is thinking quality on the community, but some more limited thought process. So how much of the discussion is oriented towards how do we grow to 6,000 versus how do we improve the quality of the education infrastructure resources for this piece that we have. Another point I'll make about that growth is board level was recently approved for improvement to be reconditioned, but the original plans to expand it for increased capacity have been pulled back to focus on keeping the same size.
So the question is both about enrollment growth planning and then also quality control issues. I'm actually going to ask Eric to talk about what each of the college representatives to the working group, one of the first things we did was listen to them after having, I think you did more than any other rep did in terms of polling faculty and really getting kind of groundswell of support for. It was really a SWOT analysis. What are your current strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And in terms of the current challenges in graduate education, we had a lot of conversation about the cross-college interdisciplinary stuff in particular. From the dean's perspective, I'm thinking of the PEC retreat recently, Mark. The deans are comfortable with the MOUs. They've all brokered that with each other, and they're comfortable with whatever cost shares and revenue shares they've created. But the people, Janice Lopez on our committee, spoke out really strongly multiple times. The people who are on the ground, and Sri, you made comments this way in terms of the grad program director meeting. The people on the ground trying to manage the really ambitiously cross-college interdisciplinary programming, they're doing great things in terms of attracting strong students. But the machinery, the getting the funding to be moved from one college to another, when a new program director comes in, somebody like a Janice Lopez in Earth, Ocean, and Environment has to go pull out the MOU again to explain to the new program director what the logistics are. Getting people, the back end RBB revenue share has eaten up a lot of time and staff energy. So they're like, the optics under RBB of the disincentives to cross-college collaboration are pretty strong. In the working groups conversations, the idea that a different infrastructure for graduate education that would facilitate new program development, whether a program like this fabulous one that's relatively recent but is going gangbusters, does it move into a new unit or not? Maybe it just stays where it is, and the graduate college or school becomes the entity for the new, no decisions have been made. It's really, we're still gathering input on that. The quality control is the conversation with these two visiting deans today. Their setup for quality control is quite different than ours are. In the case of UNC, the graduate school actually, with an associate provost, manages the academic program review process for the campus, whether or not a department has a graduate program. So the graduate school is perceived as the unit responsible for academic excellence at the institution overall. We have university standards in graduate education, but we are highly decentralized currently. We're partially, but not completely, involved in the academic program review process. I think that you raise a really important point. And every time I've heard the president talk about the future of the institution, he always has strong language about supporting excellence. It's not growing just to grow, it's supporting excellence and finding the opportunities for the institution to build its reputation beyond its current strengths. But the quality control issue, that's not sexy. That's not sexy the way that's hard work. But it's an important part of the future too. Steve.
Ryan, you want to ask your question? I saw your hand shut. Not that I'm shutting you down, Steve. I just wanted to.
That was what I was going to mention, is quality control. The graduate college set and enforced the standards of the university. They literally, to the point of, did you have a fee every year? Each student. Did you go to your mandatory seminar series? They enforced, this is what a PhD, this is what a master's at this university entails. Is any of that in the discussion as part of this?
The intent is there, whether the actual words are or not. So I would encourage you to go and write that down on the on the site.
John at one of the things this spring reminded the group. I forget now where it was that he made this point, but Minnesota, at some point, maybe after he was there, but Minnesota put in a new requirement that graduate students must meet with their faculty members once a week. And they had a dramatic change in the time to degree statistics for the institution overall. Something as simple as that.
Oh, Steve, go ahead.
Wait, yeah. So we were just talking about these issues in the meeting that we just came from with the two outside consultants. A lot of time spent on the whole issue of quality control and program reviews and the way it's done at the other two schools, which is very different from the way it's done. It's not really done here. But then another point I think that's very important is each of those universities' grad offices have 25 staff, and we have 12, maybe 11. Anyway, so all of this is going to require a lot of change and growth for us to be able to do what we want to do.
Yeah, Steve, you had a.
Yeah, I apologize. The president talks about increasing these numbers. Has he tried to teach a class from, I don't know, let's say 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock on campus recently, where there are no classrooms available? That's true.
So I want to jump in on that one. And actually, I think you have the remarkable asset of a dean who gets the opportunity of online education. And, Mark, in multiple times at Dean's Council meetings over the last year, I've heard him say, even for undergraduates, if we have strong rhetoric about field-based experience and discovery learning, right? But we've locked ourselves into this Carnegie 3-credit hour, Tuesday, Thursday, 11 to 12:15, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to 11:50. If we as academic leadership at this institution were able to imagine more creatively the use of our physical space, we could deliver more of those field-based, research-based, discovery learning opportunities that we talk about, but we don't necessarily facilitate in terms of how we use our physical space.
It's really going to be attractive to prospective students and prospective parents when you say, oh yeah, we're not meeting with your student, we're doing ACAC 150 online.
No,
I think that's going to be a draw.
I'm saying blended hybrid learning can be a huge change agent. If you're in class on a Tuesday and you're working on the farm on a Thursday, if you're out on, I'm thinking of McKay Jenkins, if you're out on the river with McKay, you're taking a journalism class, but you're in a canoe on the, on the Chesapeake.
But you're citing very, very unique circumstances. So I would take the answer to my question is no. President Samus is not trying to teach a class.
Well, but that's a unique circumstance as well, Steve. Come on. Online education is growing at 3 times the rate of face-to-face in this country and has been doing so for a couple of decades. There's no question about that. Okay, there's some universities that have in their strategic plans, they're not going to build any more brick and mortar classrooms because they're going to put a certain amount of their curriculum online. They're doing it. They're doing it. And then
we've got working professionals who want to come to the university to do institutes, to do 2- and 3-day boot camps kinds of things, as well as possibly credit-bearing courses. But they're working professionals. They can't take classes at the graduate level when they're only offered between 8 and 5. It doesn't work. So how do we rethink what our delivery system is?
all right. So, but to cap this off, because we do have to close up or you're not going to have anybody to talk to. So the time limit for giving more input, because you can see we have a lot of input to give. What are we talking about? The rest of the summer?
Rest of the summer, absolutely. We're not closing the comment function down anytime soon.
Yeah, I'll direct everybody to that comment page. I'll send the URL.
And apologies for not, the first thing we launched was the Daily story, thinking that would capture, and then we did, sort of targeted messages through the deans, through the grad program director listserv, and the student listserv. But clearly we didn't get everybody through that Daily story. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.